Perhaps it's probably a bad day to record this because it is windy as heck outside, but whatever. Whatever, I'm prepared to talk about this game in full capacity. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another thing episode, Platinum Impressions, in which I discombobulate myself when it comes to Kirby games. But this time, don't you worry, I have notes. I am prepared for this. I am prepared, as or rather I, because I'm the one talking about it, this is not a Let's Play, and I refer to you as the collective we. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which was released last year. In fact, almost exactly last year. I don't think so, but whatever. This released last year, and I got it for Christmas, and a couple months later, I finally played it, and I beat it. So, we are going to talk about this. So, as a Kirby enthusiast, I've been playing a lot of Kirby games more recently, and I'm actually considering myself to be more of a Kirby enthusiast, as, I played a few Kirby games in a row, Treble Deluxe, Return to Dreamland, and now this. And this, supposedly, is the successor to Kirby Canvas Curse, which I never played, which was on the DS. And, the gameplay definitely shows, but I'll get to that in a minute. But, what I want to say this game right off the bat, it's good. I mean, it's not great or anything, it's not the best one, but, it's good. It's good. It's good. Anyway, as you can plainly see, the story is probably the most important part about this. Because, one day, Kirby is, suddenly a ball now, with his friend Waddle Dee and all that, who's been, a multiplayer thing ever made. And then all of a sudden, oh no, all the color has run out in the world. Who could have done this? A pair of giant master hands, apparently. Chasing this adorable little fairy, which we don't know the name of until you actually collect a figurine of it. And, yeah, pretty much. Sucks the color out of Dreamland, including Kirby and Waddle Dee, until that paintbrush lady thing. I think her name is Ellie, I think? I don't know. I only looked at the trophy briefly. You'll see it in the video. But she helps out, Kirby and Waddle Dee, and, of course, they come in to save the day. And that's it. Really, honestly, this is probably, the one Kirby game where, literally the story takes a back seat. I don't know how that is. It feels kind of weird to me, after, playing Return to Dreamland, which had, a great villain and everything, and, the story was there. You didn't have to, pay attention to anything. It's simple. Simple, which always worked for Nintendo's case, really. But, for me, it's kind of weird seeing how this is, the one Kirby game, especially after playing, Return to Dreamland, how the story just sort of literally takes a back seat until, the final, world of the game. And we don't even get that long of a cutscene for what the villain really, villain really is. And really the only other times where you're ever going to get story is by, getting those secret diaries that you get near the end of the level, where they have that goal game, of course, where you have to roll Kirby up to, the diary page, and that's really all you're gonna get on, the story about the Paintbrush Girl. And, her home world, and, her caretaker, Clacia, who has turned evil, and all that stuff. So, yeah, story sort of takes a back seat. But, whatever. It's a Kirby game. Not really gonna, complain about story in a Kirby game, but, would have been nice to have a little more substance, I guess. But as you can plainly see, when this game, first was revealed, I immediately fell in love with the art style. I love, stop motion or claymation stuff. Well, I was a really big fan of, Aardman Studios, I think it's called. Aardman Studios, I think it is. And, they've done, Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, and, Flushed Away. Those were, really great movies because, they had so much stop motion, claymation goodness in them. And I think Kirby and the Rainbow Curse took like notes from that, and I'm not sure whether or not it was actually clay or CGI, but if it was like CG, like it's pretty damn convincing CG, because, you know, in the opening movie, as you've seen, they make it so that the frame rate is kind of like 20, I guess, 20 frames per second, and, you know, the stop motion characters like move at a slower frame rate, so giving off the illusion that it is sort of like stop motion and everything. And I'm not sure whether or not it was actual clay or not, again, or other CGI, but again, if it was, it's pretty damn convincing. So yeah, I really like how this game, honestly, I really like how this game looks. I feel like it's kind of like Yoshi's Woolly World, except with clay, honestly. Because, you know, that game came out, you know, same year. Ironically enough, the game Yoshi's Woolly World came out, you know, same year, same day, same game, and same art style. I don't think it is, but whatever. It just makes the claymation style just sort of makes like each world like kind of feel like clay, which I really like, and stuff. What I'm basically trying to say is the game looks beautiful. Okay, it looks beautiful. The clay looks good. The backgrounds look gorgeous for, you know, every standard theme that we've seen, and stuff. Stuff. But really, that's only like one of the best parts of the game for me, is, you know, the graphics. The other is the absolutely amazing soundtrack. And, you know, as you can clearly hear in a few seconds, the soundtrack, it is pretty damn good. It's so good. And especially considering, you know, the treasure chests you find in the levels. Even though the levels can take a really long time, and getting those treasure chests, getting those treasure chests, like 5 treasure chests in every level, I feel like getting those treasure chests is kind of worth it, because some of them contain, believe it or not, remixed tracks from other Kirby games as well. And you know what? They're pretty damn awesome remixes too. You know, some of them are weird, but hey, they're pretty damn good remixes. And in fact, even one remix you heard in the in my Kirby Master Fortress video, that wasn't the Return to Dreamland version of Crown that you heard. It was the Rainbow Curse variant of Crowned, which was the final boss theme of Return to Dreamland, and that was pretty damn amazing. In fact, it was actually one of the first tracks I ever heard out of Rainbow Curse, and it was pretty good. It was so good, man. Like, the music and art style, for me, is probably like the best part about this game, period, because, well, you know, I have a feeling like Rainbow Curse is pretty much overtaking Return to Dreamland as the best OST ever. And I would buy it. I would buy the soundtrack in an instant, honestly. I would buy the soundtrack for those remixes and those awesome original tracks alone. Like, honest to God, I would. But anyway, since this is probably going to be like a short little thing because, well, you know, me and Kirby games don't often like mix in terms of length. But about the gameplay itself, if you ever played Canvas Curse before, you should know how this game basically operates in the same way. Like, Kirby is in a ball, and you use the touch screen. You use the touch screen. You use the touch screen gamepad in order to, you know, move Kirby by drawing lines with you know, the stylus and everything. So Kirby is sort of on rails with this, and yes, you have to use the gamepad in order to even play Rainbow Curse. No gamepad, no anything else. You can make Kirby go on all sorts of pathways. You can overlap the rainbows in order to make them stop, so on and so forth. And all that, which kind of brings me to a little bit of an issue I have with Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, honestly. Is that, well, some of the levels that you go through can get kind of tricky, especially when you're going into, you know, the transformation levels in which you're either a tank, submarine, or a rocket. And yeah, sometimes Kirby won't go the way you want him to go, really. Like, yeah, I just have a feeling that, you know, that could have been improved a little bit, or rather, you could have given him traditional control, as it were. I don't know, like, I'm speaking more from experience because I recently played, like, the second Rocket Kirby level, and I swear, like, Rocket Kirby's didn't go through one of the holes that you're supposed to go through in order to progress onward to the level. Like, there were these things breathing fire, and you have to draw the lines near the source of the fire in order to, you know, block the fire. And, you know, Kirby just wouldn't go through the hole because he wasn't properly centered enough. I don't know. And, yeah, it's weird. It's just really weird. Also, like, about the levels themselves, while I did have a genuinely fun time with the majority of the levels, sometimes it can go on for a really long time. Like, it literally, wow, that wind is really strong. The vast majority of the levels can really take you like about 20 minutes just to get through half of a world. Well, it took me about, like, you know, 10, 15 minutes to get through, you know, half of the first world. And when it takes that long, I don't think that's a good sign for a Kirby game, but thankfully there are only like four levels per world, so thank God for that. They don't make you stay for too long. But speaking of too long, World 6, which is the fire world, can kind of be the hardest world, and that's where the problems of the level design can get kind of bad. Okay, here's the thing. Sometimes in like the later parts of the game, they make you do or die situations, meaning that if you miss a jump, or if you miss a pathway or properly, like, okay, take for example like one of the levels in World 6. You're on a gondola. You're on basically a gondola ride, right? And they have to make you go through this little bit of a lava section, and you have to basically time your drawing on your gamepad properly so you can make Kirby go on to the next gondola, right? Well, Imagine also if you're trying to get all the treasure chests in that gondola section, or at least the 1 or 2 that are there. If you're going for all the treasure chests, and if you miss that one treasure chest, guess what? You gotta die, and you gotta start the whole thing, and you gotta start the thing from the checkpoint all over again. That's just basically that world in general. It's just do or die situation. It's kind of bad. It is kind of a bad. But can't really think of anything else at the anything else when it comes to, you know, level design. But it's not to say that, you know, the level design in this game is bad or anything, like throughout the vast majority of it. I think it has some, you know, pretty neat ideas for this type of game where you're just drawing on pathways and stuff. But as someone who hasn't really experienced, like, Rainbow Curse, or not, I keep saying Rainbow Curse instead of Canvas Curse, what the hell? As someone who's really haven't experienced Canvas Curse and always wanted to, like, I can probably imagine, like, the level design not being as good as, you know, compared to some other Kirby games where it's always been, like, you know, 2D platformers and always fair. Like, sometimes Rainbow Curse can get to the point where it's sorta unfair in my case, at least. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's been forever, but yeah, it's sometimes it's not a good. Sometimes it can get pretty frustrating because, you know, the levels are so dauntingly long. But hey, I persevered through it and I beat it, so there's that. But Speaking of which, the boss fights. Yeah. I have a feeling I'm pretty damn mixed when it comes to, you know, the boss fights. I mean, as you can kind of see right here, I'm taking on Wispy Woods right here, and you basically have to draw a pathway all the way to him and just tap him. In fact, that was actually one of the first things that I actually took on in Rainbow Curse, honestly, when I was playing the demo at Target one time. And, you know, I thought the boss fight was pretty cool. The boss Claykin can be pretty fun boss fights too. And, you know, the other fire boss that you take, or rather the desert boss thing, I guess, where you have to, you know, basically attack him again and again in order to make him lose his armor. But honestly, those 3 are really the only 3 bosses in the game. I don't know what it is with this game and, you know, recycling, you know, boss fights. But yeah, they do recycle boss fights. Sure, they use different strategies, but really it's pretty much all the same boss. And I can assure you, this one boss fight between the other one, the ancient boss fight, as it were. You know what? I have Rainbow Curse opened up in my thing right now. I'm gonna see what the boss is. Okay, so the boss is called Hoop Lagoon, or something like that. Yeah, Hoop Lagoon. Yeah, and I can pretty much assure you, his boss fight in World 5 is hard as hell. It's hard as hell. And it's pretty damn frustrating, believe it or not. But, here's the thing. And actually, that also brings me to another thing about this game. Star dashes. If you collect 100 stars or coins in each level, you can basically get yourself a star dash. And what that basically is that it can pretty much guarantee you that you'll damage the bosses a lot, as well as get you some certain, you know, treasure chests and stuff. That I forgot to mention about the gameplay itself, in that you tap the screen in order to attack. However, if you hold down Kirby, as you know, he gets the star dash. You can basically make him grow all big, and you can direct him to left or right, and then you can just unleash hell, which is, yeah, not easy to control. In fact, I think it's rather impossible, but, what I can safely say for the Star Dashes is that, well, I like them. I just wish they weren't so omnipotent for some things. I mean, they're not omnipotent all the time, but for some cases, they are pretty much omnipotent, to say the least. They're pretty much omnipotent. But don't you worry! If you're in serious dire need of, you know, the things, you can always use Amiibo. So basically amiibo are utilized in a way that's, well, in a way that you can use them once per day, but they'll get you really cool effects, as it were. So the Kirby amiibo can grant you unlimited star dashes, which is really awesome. Good thing I have that Kirby amiibo. DDD will land you a DDD cap as well as extra HP. And I believe Meta Knights can increase your speed? I'm not really too sure on that. I'll put something on screen right now what it is. But yeah, I feel like the amiibos can be helpful, even though you can use them once a day. You can only use them once a day, so yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, I'm sort of mixed on, you know, the boss fights. Some of them are really cool, like Wispy Woods, Claykin. Those boss fights are pretty fun, and the final battle is pretty good too. Is pretty alright too, I guess, for, you know, Rocket Kirby standards. But as for the other boss fights, I'm not really too fond of them, to say the least, honestly. They could have at least made it a little bit easier. I'm looking at you, World 5 boss fight. Whatever. But if that's not your liking, you can also take on multiplayer, where you can play as, you know, Waddle Dee, and basically he is your little co-star thing in Super Mario Galaxy, in that he can collect coins, and you have actual traditional control of him. Yes, you have actual traditional control of Waddle Dee, which he should be in the ball, but whatever. It's tradition. It's you know, the standard Kirby control. So yay, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really played multiplayer because I'm all alone. I need friends, but from now on, but yeah. So that's basically multiplayer. I am going to get distracted by Miitomo here. Oh man, but basically what I'm trying to say is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, while it is indeed a good game, it could have improved so much better. Like, some of the but again, I'm really mixed on the boss fights. Some of the levels can get pretty frustrating, especially because they're hard, and sometimes it can go on for really slow, especially when you're in like submarine or a tank, because you move really, really slow. Again, not everyone's cup of tea right there. But I can definitely say that it kind of has the best soundtrack of Kirby. I know I said that for Return to Dreamland, but I don't care. I'm changing it. I brought that back. And the art style is really good and the game looks really good for Wii U. I just wish that, you know, the overall control was a little bit better. The level design could have been, you know, a bit easier. And the levels could have been, you know, a lot shorter. Like 5 minutes shorter than they would. But hey, for what it's worth, I feel like I had fun with this, and I highly doubt I'll let's play it. I highly doubt it, because I'd probably get frustrated in a sense. Yes, that's what I'd do. But either way, though, that's about it. So I'll see you guys on the next sort of edition of Platinum Impressions. See you guys then.